All right, we spent enough time talking about the offense, the coordinator, what to draft, all that. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. It is the locker room number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker, and I'm here to break down the defense. It's easy to get upset about the Texans offense. Let's focus on this defense though, and what I think could end up being a championship caliber defense. And you can almost make a case that the Texans defense already is championship caliber. And let's look at one stat that the Texans are one of one in. The Texans had last year, they had 3 players in the top 20 in interceptions. Derek Stingley had 5, by the way. Hear from Derek Stingley or see what Derek Stingley had to say in a sec. He had 5. Kamari Lassiter had 3. And they had 2 guys in the top 10 in sacks. Danielle Hunter was 5th in the league. Will Anderson was 10th. So you can make a case that the Texans might have the best edge duo and the best cornerback duo in the entire NFL. Like a strong case can be made. As a matter of fact, I don't even know who's in the discussion when it comes to both of those things. And the beauty of it is that 3 of those 4 players, the arrow is for sure pointing up when it comes to how much better they're going to get. Now, Derek Stingley, you can make a case. He's already pretty damn elite. So if he just continues to do what he's doing, there aren't too many cornerbacks better. So you have that. Kamari Lassiter is definitely going to get better. Will Anderson, I think, is going to get better. We saw him get better this year. So when it comes to the cornerback and the edge duo, the Texans already have, and this is what people die to get, they might already have the best duos in each of those areas in the entire league. Now, here's the question. Could the elite defense lead to a surprising use of draft equity? In other words, we're talking about the offense. We know the offense needs to get better. But let's say that the Texans are a safety away from being elite. And maybe you put together one of the best safety duos in the NFL to pair with one of the best edge duos and one of the best corner duos. By the way, Kalen Bullock, the other guy with 5 interceptions, he was near the top of the league in INTs. Will the elite defense lead to the Texans perhaps making a surprise pick at number 25? And I'm looking at 2 specific positions, and we kind of talked about this today on SNL. Linebacker and safety are 2 positions where at times, often, although I don't know if it's going to happen at the safety position, but you have the opportunity to get the best guy late in the draft, the best guy at that position, or be the team to pick that position for the first time. That's one of those positions where you often have that opportunity. So what if DeMeco Ryans, we know they need a DT. They'll have to figure that out. We know that they need cornerback depth, but what if DeMeco Ryans thinks one of these linebackers could put this defense over the top and give you a sideline to sideline type of guy to put with the linebacking core you have in the edge and the corner guys? And just early look, if we're looking at the top 4, I used PFF as a reference. I'm usually pretty big on the Harris 100, but I use PFF for a reference. These are the 4 linebackers, and they're all around the 30 range. Top 4 linebackers, all SEC guys, by the way. Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina, hell of a player. Campbell out of Alabama, hell of a player. Walker out of Georgia. Now, he's kind of interesting because he's projected as someone that can play inside and outside. He already possesses pretty good edge skills. So that versatility that a lot of teams value also comes from a program that the Texans respect. Walker could end up being someone that you look at in the second round. I don't know. I don't see how he gets there, given all the stuff he can do. Maybe we'll see how he runs. There's questions about whether he can cover if you're putting him inside, outside, whatever. But he's very versatile. And then Chris Paul, out of Ole Miss. So you have 4 linebackers that DeMeco Ryans, I'm sure, is going to like. Could he decide that this guy would put the defense over the top and make them an elite defense? Then you have the safety position, and this one's really interesting because at the safety position, there's 2 guys that you really look at early on in the process. Like if we're talking about taking a guy at 25, there's probably 2 guys that will be discussed before the combine. And outside of the top one, you could easily see only one safety going in the first round. But the first one is Malachi Starks. If he falls to 25, you really got to think about it. And he comes from the program that Kamari Lassiter came from. You put him next to Kalen Bullock, there's a greater than likely chance that you have one of the best safety duos in the league in a few years. There's also a greater than likely chance that he's nowhere to be found at 25. That could very well happen. You could see him going anywhere from 10 to 15, 20. Like this is kind of one of those game changer guys where you don't know. But sometimes safeties do fall. It's my 2 least favorite words in the draft, positional value, which I kind of roll my eyes at. But if the Texans get to a situation where they already think their defense is going to be incredible, let's say that they sign someone in free agency at receiver, maybe they think it's a deep receiver group, and they decide, okay, if Starks falls to us at 25, we got to take him. We already got Kamari Lassiter. We put Starks, Bullock, and Lassiter out there. Now think about this too. This is the other thing if you do take one of these guys. You're going to have 3 guys on rookie deals while you're paying Derek Stingley. And you're probably going to have one of the best secondaries in the league. I'm almost talking myself into a safety. This is why we do this type of stuff. Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Be sure to subscribe to SNL as well with myself and Cody Stoots. But if you look at this secondary, let's say you draft Starks or Watts, you're going to have Derek Stingley is going to be one of the highest paid corners in the league. We know this. We're going to have Kamari Lassiter on the second year of his rookie deal. Kalen Bullock on the second year of his rookie deal. And then you would have one of these guys on the first year of their rookie deal. It's not a bad place to be if you're thinking about that. Now, would I bet that Starks falls? No. I think he's going to be one of those guys who's a top 10, top 12 prospect on most boards. We'll see what he runs. I mean, if it's a fast 40, then we could see him going in the top 15. But if he's there, I think it's something that the Texans would think about, regardless of whether they need wide receiver. And here's the other good thing about this. You're trying to take a defense that's almost fringe championship caliber. They're going to go through free agency. We don't know what they're going to get. But wide receiver, while there's opportunity to get guys there at 25, there's also opportunities to get guys in the second and third round. There's opportunities to sign guys. And after the initial free agent market and after the draft, you might have an opportunity to get guys who are just looking to sign short-term deals and figure some stuff out. That's kind of the advantage you have when wide receiver is your top need. Now, the good news is the Texans have a wide receiver that they think is elite at the top. Now, if you didn't have Nico Collins, then that's a little bit more of a dire situation. But you have a guy who you feel, Pro Bowl caliber receiver, one of the best in the game when he's in there, chemistry with CJ Stroud. You feel great about him. So it's not like you just don't feel good about any of these wide receivers. So you're in a good position there if you're the Texans. Safety, maybe. I don't believe in positional value. I just believe in getting the right guy. I mean, obviously you don't want to take a kicker or a punter in the first round. But I mean, there was a time where we were talking about, don't take a running back in this round. That's asinine. That's asinine. the Lions don't regret taking Gibbs. The running backs on their rookie deals, it's one of the best assets you can have. If you have an elite running back for 3 years, then the draft pick was worth it, whether it's in the first round or not. They make that type of an impact, and you kind of churn the rest of your running back situation and try to figure something out there. So the positional value thing I kind of roll my eyes at it. We talked about tight ends last year. That was kind of a popular topic. More times than not, they're busts. Brock Bowers wasn't a bust. He was one of the most productive offensive players in the history of the NFL in his rookie season. So positional value, these nuts there. Guard. The problem wasn't that the Texans took a guard when they took Kenyon Green. The problem was he sucks. The Colts didn't regret taking Quentin Nelson, and there's examples of other teams taking guards. But whenever you're talking positional value, whenever a player busts, all of a sudden it's, you shouldn't take this position. Just like when the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They would have taken Jonathan Taylor, no one would have cared. Wouldn't have mattered. So the safety, the guard, the running back, the positional value, I don't necessarily buy all that. Team needs, you obviously got to balance them with best player available. But if you have something that's close to being elite, and there's a wide receiver that you think is a good player but not a great player, he might be the best guy on your board. You can kind of make a case that if you're one impact player, whether it's a safety, whether it's a linebacker, whether it's a D lineman, you can make a case that it's worth making one element of your football team extremely elite. I don't know about y'all, but watching Eric Murray as a starting safety is just not something I like to sign up for, at least not voluntarily. It's not something, I mean, God bless him for playing himself into having a good role. He had a good season. He hung in there as well as he could. You can do worse than reserve safety Eric Murray. I don't want to be in that business. And if you're going to bring back Jimmy Ward, and they gave Jimmy Ward the extension, can you count on Jimmy Ward to play safety? Like if I could play Madden and I could turn on the game and turn injuries off, then I might be able to roll with Jimmy Ward. He takes care of himself. He's not getting hurt because he's out of shape, but I can't turn injuries off. And the chances are extremely likely that Jimmy Ward's going to get hurt. I think Jimmy Ward's a productive player. I think that Jalen Petry's a productive player. Those are nickelbacks. Jimmy can maybe play safety, but he's going to miss half the games. It's just the way it goes. So I feel like through this exercise, I've kind of talked myself into being open to taking a safety. Safeties can make impact too. Where would the Texans have been this year without Bullock? And Bullock's far from a finished product. Bullock's a guy who's probably going to get a lot stronger. He's going to get a lot more comfortable. Where would they have been without him? What would they have done? If you put together an elite defense, maybe that takes off the pressure of the offense. I've been offense. I think through this, I've kind of talked myself into this. Mike says he plays Madden with no injuries. That's whack. That's whack, dude. You got to be kidding me. You're really playing Madden with no injuries? That's awful. That's awful, Mike. Worst I ever saw was the Mike Vick cover. My boy used to turn injuries off and be Mike Vick and make him right-handed. I mean, come on. That's bad, though. James says defense would have been trashed without Hawk and Locke. Yeah, if they don't get those guys in the secondary last year, like how bad is this defense? I mean, you're coming off a year where Stephon Diggs, you made the trade, and you can almost make a case, because I know the national media types, they don't really look at the trade as the Texans traded back 19 spots to get Stephon Diggs, and when they got that second rounder from Minnesota, they knew that what they were going to do with it. But the other element of that is, you know how everyone talks about like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young back when it was just people were accepting it as like a foregone conclusion that Bryce sucked and CJ was the next best thing. CJ's obviously still ahead of him. But everyone was like, well, thank God the Texans beat the Colts, because they would have taken Bryce, and they would have taken Bryce. But that's what was said. What if the Texans don't make that trade? Like, I don't know what their draft board looks like. Like, if the Texans don't make that Diggs trade, is there a chance they don't take Kamari Lassiter? Can you make a case that even if, no matter how you look at the Stephon Diggs trade, and I look at it, and I always did, as they traded back 19 spots, they knew what they were going to do with that second rounder, and they ended up taking Kamari Lassiter. But would they have done that if they hadn't made that trade? Like, if they were still sitting at the same spot, would the Texans have drafted Kamari Lassiter? Because if you draft Kamari Lassiter in that spot, it's a good pick. Hell, if you're at 11 and you draft Kamari Lassiter, it's a good pick. It's a cornerback, probably the best rookie cornerback in the game last year. But much like some people would say the Texans lucked out when they got CJ because they beat the Colts, you can make a case that they lucked out when they made the Diggs trade, regardless of how you look at it. And I obviously look at it completely different. But even if you look at it that way, because they got Kamari Lassiter, I understand you would have that extra second round pick. They don't trade back if they're not trying to get Diggs. They were trying to get a receiver. But even if you look at it that way, Kamari Lassiter, without him, where would you have been? Where would you have been? It's a good exercise to go through when it comes to what the Texans ended up doing and what they ended up getting. The other thing is the Blake Fisher. I was sitting right here. I wasn't overly thrilled about Blake Fisher. I didn't think it was like the greatest pick, but he's your starting tackle this year. I mean, what if you hadn't drafted him? You have Titus Howard and you don't know what the hell to do with him, and you're kind of a lost cause. You're kind of chasing your tail. So they deserve a hell of a lot of credit for what they did last year. And this year it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. They're not a just draft for needs type of squad. And they know how to develop guys. So if you can put together an elite defense and you think you're one piece away, not necessarily opposed to that approach. Talk myself into a safety, a little more open-minded than I was before. That's what these exercises are for, these offseason exercises, especially as we're approaching the big game and we're approaching the combine. I hope we run a tight end centric offense with who? Who runs a tight end centric offense? Like in the NFL? What? So you hope they have Nico Collins and Joe Mixon and run a tight end centric offense. What would that, Mr. Heisenberg? Shout out to you, my friend. Appreciate you for being here. But what does that look like? Like, are you running the offense through Dalton Schultz, Cade Stover? Do you think Warren falls to you? Do you go up and get him? Like, who runs a tight end centric offense in the NFL? I mean, maybe the Raiders did. How'd that go? I don't know. I don't know how you could run a tight end centric offense. It's the last time a team ran a tight end centric offense. Seems a little bit crazy. The Pats used to. Yeah, I mean they ran a lot of two tight end. They had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez though. I think I don't know if they like centered it around those guys. I mean, they definitely used them a hell of a lot. But I mean, that's the different exception. And that's kind of one of the amusing things to me is a lot like what the Ravens run. So where's Mark Andrews and where's Likely? You know, I mean, the Ravens wouldn't be running that offense if they had Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover and Irv Smith. And that's kind of one of the amusing things. I'm going to do a video on this tomorrow. But that's kind of one of the amusing things when you get an offensive coordinator is you start seeing, and I've been seeing it on the internet, and I'm on the net a little bit more when practice isn't going on. But like you see, like on the timeline, a lot of time the For You, like people want to study the Sean McVay offense. Man, I gotta look at this Rams playbook. I forgot who said. I saw a couple of people say it. I gotta look at this Rams playbook and I gotta figure this out. And then I saw some clips of plays that the Rams ran. I think it was from my man VT. I think Leo did it. Shout out to Leo. I like those guys. But he put like a play design that the Rams had where Stafford throws the ball to, it was either Puka or Cooper Kupp. And it was like Nick Caley about to cook with this. It's like, I mean, who's Puka? Who's Kupp? Do we even know what kind of offense Nick Caley's going to run? Like, just because you studied under somebody doesn't mean you're going to have the same style. I mean, there might be bits and pieces, but it's not like the same style. Like you see guys who study under guys like Bobby Slowick didn't have the same offense as Kyle Shanahan. And I remember whenever Bobby got here, it was like, man, who's going to be Deebo Samuel? Man, are they going to use so-and-so like use check? It's like, they don't have use check. Oh, Dalton Schultz can be George Kittle. He's not George Kittle. The good coordinators are going to kind of adjust to their personnel. And it's not going to be 100% like what Sean McVay runs. We don't know what he's going to run. He might come here and want to run a combination of the New England and the Rams thing. We haven't heard the guy talk yet. I think we're going to hear him talk at the combine. I'll talk to him. We'll talk to him. We'll get to react to that here. I promise that. But we don't know what kind of offense he runs. So what Sean McVay did and what Sean McVay ran is irrelevant. You're going to show me a highlight of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and say, this is what we have to look forward to? It's two of the best slot guys in the league. I remember a former Texans player was telling me a story about when Bill O'Brien first came into the building and he was showing the team tape and Bill O'Brien was basically saying, yeah, and this is how Randy Moss did it in New England and this is how Wes Welker did it in New England. And he's telling this to like Cecil Shorts and like other guys. Andre Johnson a little bit later on in his career. That sounds silly, right? That sounds crazy, right? Like you're showing the Patriots offense and you're showing like Cecil Shorts and whoever the hell else was on the team tape and you're saying, yeah, this is how Wes Welker did it and this is how Randy Moss did it. That's crazy, right? How is that any different than talking about Sean McVay's offense and showing me something that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua did? That makes sense. So we have no clue what they're going to run, what the offense is going to look like. We'll get an idea. But I doubt he's going to try to copy everything that Sean McVay did. He spent 2 years with him. Hopefully he takes a lot from him because guys who are under McVay seem to have a nice nice pipeline, but we don't know what he's going to do. It could be much different. Like Brian Flores' defense is not like the exact same as Bill Belichick's. There's some different stuff that he does. Andy Reid's offense isn't the exact same thing as Mike Holmgren. Neither was John Gruden's. It was a lot of guys that studied under him. So we have no idea what the hell he's going to do. He hasn't said it. They haven't said it. They haven't had a press conference since he got hired. So we'll figure it out. But we have no idea what it's going to look like. I think it's crazy to think that this is like the Rams thing. Party in the chat says, Landry, how do you feel about Stover taking over tight end 1 position and getting more action via screens? I mean, I don't feel good about Cade Stover as a tight end 1. I feel like he's going to get better. I feel like he's going to get stronger. I mean, he's relatively new to the position. I think he's kind of, in a perfect world, a really good blocking tight end that you can move around. He's obviously got a little bit more juice than Schultz when it comes to running after the catch. But, I mean, if you told me next year Cade Stover is going to be TE1, I don't feel awesome about it. I would like to get other tight ends and have him as kind of like a complimentary guy. That's not to dismiss the possibility of it happening. I'm just saying, like, right now, I don't see it. That seems like a long ways away. Like, if Cade Stover's your TE1, that either means that he really got good and way better than he was last year, or it means your tight end position sucks. And I like the young man. But yeah, I don't I don't think I would feel awesome about that. Brevin Jordan's way better, is he? Like, would you feel good about Brevin Jordan being TE1? I wouldn't feel awesome about that either. I'm open to the tight end position. Getting some new tight ends. Pause on that like a mofo. But I would be very open to drafting a tight end if the opportunity presents itself. We talked about, someone falling to you at 25. What if in a crazy world Warren falls to you at 25? I don't think that's happening. I don't think he gets past 15. But Brevin Jordan, tight end 1, Cade Stover, tight end 1. How does that make you feel? That make you feel good? Not me. I mean, maybe a combination of the 3. You have 3 guys that are going to be there. Dalton Schultz. I mean, unless something crazy happens, you're pretty much stuck with him next year. Hopefully you use him better. It's not like he's a completely meaningless player, but if you're going to use him like that, then it's crazy. But I don't feel awesome about the tight end position. I don't know how much upside there is. I think Brevin Jordan kind of benefited from us watching what happened at the tight end position last year. We kind of forgot what Brevin Jordan was. Brevin Jordan's a guy who was trying to make the team last year, did a decent job, had the play against the Browns, works his ass off. We'll see how that goes. But tight end 1, any of those guys, don't feel awesome about it. Elite defense, little offensive talk, and a couple other things to react to before we get out of here. This one's going to be a short one. We're approaching the offseason a little bit. No more Quinteriano sightings. I'm done with that. I'm out. Unless he's at camp, then who knows? Brevin's athletic. I think college game with Penn State 44 and other players has just jaded us to real football scheme play. Stover dominates as a blocker. We can utilize that. I don't know if he dominates. I know that Stoots and Cat put out that weird ass, he never had a bad block stat or whatever the hell that was. But yeah, we'll see what that looks like. So NFL awards today. Here was what those look like. This is from Ari Myrov, the aggregator. So Josh Allen wins MVP, but he's not first team All-Pro. Make that make sense. Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year, could have easily been MVP. Patrick Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, had one of the best players on the Texans, I think, in his fields. We'll get to that in a sec. Then the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Weirdly enough, someone didn't vote for him. I think he got 49 of the 50 votes. I'd love to know who that guy is. Jaden Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Joe Burrow, Comeback Player of the Year. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. Assistant of the Year, Ben Johnson. And the Walter Payton Man of the Year, the man the Texans almost signed, Eric Armstead. And then the smallest Hall of Fame class in a long time, Antonio Gates, Jared Allen, Eric Allen, and Sterling Sharp. And John McClain texted me. He asked me about I asked him about the Hall of Fame process. I guess you had to get 80% of the vote this year. Not sure if that's, I don't remember what you had to get before, but that's apparently got him hot and bothered. He also asked me about some soup. So I'm sending him this soup. He wants to try this soup. I said it was good soup. So green chili chicken pizzoli at Ferg's. So if you want to check that out. So we mentioned that Derek Stingley, not the Defensive Player of the Year. You can tell he's kind of in his feels. Derek Stingley right there. He's looking. He's checking it out. Derek Stingley motivated. Looking for that contract. Apparently looking for that respect. So I think that's a good thing. Derek Stingley keeps the chip on his shoulder. I asked him when the clip that I played yesterday, and y'all have seen it now a couple times, but like, how do you get much better? I mean, it's kind of scary to think that he could get much better. Maybe you get pissed off and you feel disrespected after having an elite season. That might be a good thing. Pissed off Sting. Draft day is a couple months away. What are we? 2.5 months away. I want to show y'all these Texans draft day caps. And I want to get y'all's opinion on these. This is not fake. This is a draft day hat. So when someone walks on the stage after getting drafted, whether it's a safety like we spoke of earlier, whether it's a receiver, whatever the hell they draft, they're going to put that on their head. And they're going to walk up there and they're going to be the newest member of the Houston Texans. Here's a problem. You remember when the new uniforms came out and everyone was like, man, those are Atlanta Falcons uniforms? I understood a little bit. This right here, though, I mean, that is an Atlanta Falcons hat. What are we doing here with this? This looks like something where you pump your gas, you walk into the gas station, you get some brew, you get a couple tall boys out of the cold ice. Maybe you get a couple scratch offs. Maybe you get you some chili cheese Fritos, and you look to your left and you see a hat that's $14.99, and you make a drunk impulse buy and you buy this hat. This looks like a gas station hat. Tell me, I'm sure a lot of you folks go to gas stations, frequent corner stores, and you see the hats that sometimes they have them above the register, some they have them to the right. Some gas stations carry pipes so you can puff on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And usually wherever the pipes are, wherever anything is, there's the hats that are up there. And you very rarely see someone with by the gas station hat. I've been known to just act a fool sometimes and make an impulse gas station hat buy. Maybe if I'm like going to a party or something like that. Tell me that this is not the type of hat that you see at a gas station. That is where it's like the colors aren't even right. Sometimes the logo's off. This is an NFL licensed hat. Some poor jamokes are going to buy this hat for 40 plus bucks and rock it. And when people say, who are the Texans? They're going to say Houston Texans. They're going to say, man, that doesn't look like a Houston Texans hat. What is this? What are we doing here? Nah, someone says Buc-ee's. Look, I've clowned Buc-ee's many a times. I think people act foolish there. They act like they're at the zoo looking at extinct animals when they're just looking at snacks. Buc-ee's ain't going this low. Buc-ee's, say what you want about Buc-ee's. They got that big ass, basically airport souvenir place. Buc-ee's ain't selling that. Y'all know the gas station that you're going to and getting one of these. That's the one where you walk in. They might have some food that looks pretty decent, but you just don't want to get it. They got like some tacos in the back, maybe some chicken, maybe even some burgers. They got the snacks, maybe even like some THC drinks. They got every beer you can imagine cold, nice and cold in the ice. You pick it up, 24 ounces. You look to your right. Damn, they got gummies? What is going on here? Wait, what? How many wiener pills can one place sell? Pipes? Wait, what is this? Is this synthetic marijuana?
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the street.
And then you look up and you see that hat. That is the hat right there that you see at a gas station. I don't know what they're doing here. There ain't no way any of y'all are buying this hat. This is awful. Except EBT. Yes. Payday checks cashed. You get you see someone, they're taking like 10% out of the payday check. They look up, they're feeling fresh. They want to pop some tags at the gas station. And right when they get that payday check cashed, boom, impulse buy. $14.99. I don't know what the hell they're doing here. This is awful. This is the worst gear they've ever put out. Seriously. This is the worst gear that they've ever put out. And they went through kind of a stale period, like before they changed the uniforms. And I don't even know that they did an excellent job with the uniforms. I think they did okay. I think they did pretty good. This is awful. I don't know what that is. I don't know what squad that is. It's like when Dameon Pierce put on Instagram, like he was making fun of his uncle or something. He had some shoes on that had like a fake Michael Jordan logo. Like instead of like doing the Jordan thing, he was kind of doing like something like different. And I asked Dameon Pierce about it. I was like, man, you were clowning. I think I saw it on like Twitter or something like that. I try not to follow players on Insta, let them do their thing. But I asked him about it and he was like, yeah, Michael Jordan ain't never done that move. He ain't never done that move. I think they were Jerome shoes. He calls himself Jerome Kicks, but Jerome ain't rocking no nice kicks. Let's be serious. Jerome's going and getting those Air Force halves. Let's be serious. I would not rock that hat. I got some Texas Ice. I got some Tiger. I don't even rock my Texans hats. My Texans hats are there. I got the NFL hat. Got to rep the shield. I ain't rocking that. Got a couple Astros hats. Ain't no one rocking that. Jerome's got those Air Force Gordons. Air Force halves and Air Gordons. Reebok Asics, not classics. Straight ass. Jerome ain't rocking no kicks. He calls himself kicks. He ain't rocking no kicks. Promise you that. There ain't no kicks there. No, I'm gonna get the NFL one. No, that's for sure. I'm getting the NFL one. I promise you that. Stoots put that one up, but that's not Texans right there. I'm damn sure getting the NFL one. This one's kind of clean. It's kind of the NFL bit, though. NFL right there. Get on that. Jerome said he's a sneakerhead asker. Who am I going to ask, man? Asking nobody. Nobody know about your sneaker game, brother. Yeah, the NFL. Don't hate on the NFL one, though. Go on that big rant. Look at that. That's the shield right there. You know that's an NFL hat, though. Those are the colors. I don't know what they're doing with the leaves. Yeah, that's the template. That's the new hat. That's what they'll be rocking at the draft. Jerome said, "You better ask about my shoe game." That is like, you better ask about my shoe game. Ask around about my kicks. They know. It's all love. I love Jerome. Combine trip is planned. We got the Airbnb. Get a table, probably broadcast stream live there. Texans got to give us one of the OCs, I think, or one of the new coaches, maybe all of them. We got to figure something out. But yeah, it's planned. We'll be there. We'll be on the scene. Myself and Stoots. Figure that out. Clown and Jerome. Said he can't trust nobody without a mustache. I don't even know what that means, brother. Yeah, he doesn't know it yet. Kaylee doesn't know. He's going to talk to us. Believe that. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Do you think the defense is elite? How would you feel if the Texans went defense in round one? Are you going to be copping one of those hats? And how much better can Derek Stingley really get? It's a hell of a question. Regardless of how much better he gets when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. SNL tomorrow at 4. Little Nick Cayley rant coming your way in the morning. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Even Jerome, no kicks ass.
It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got